I remember growing up with High School of the Dead, great anime, great fan service. And then you have the stuff that California makes, which is The Last of Us. And you have women that are pumped up with androgyny, right? No makeup. They go out of their way in order to make the characters as unappealing as possible. And the cope is that, well, it's the end of the world, it's the apocalypse. What do you expect? It's the story. The story, right? And meanwhile, the men, they look perfectly fit and handsome. And it's not just with The Last of Us. Like, you notice that this is a trend in Western media. Like, the recent example comes from Suicide Squad, where they take a character like Poison Ivy, which is completely unique in Western entertainment. Like, she is incredibly beautiful, able to shut down the male brain and go into lizard mode. But she is also as deadly as she is beautiful. So if you allow yourself to be enamored by her looks, you realize that she's actually so evil that she isn't even human anymore. And not only that, but she is deadly, right? So it's a unique character that plays on sexuality and tries to warn men. It's like, hey, don't shut your brain off, you know? Like, people can also be evil regardless if they look good. And that was like the concept behind the villain. So they're now making Poison Ivy to look like Greta Thunberg. She's underaged. You even have Harley Quinn lusting over her and all that nonsense. And again, like, the cope as well is the story. It's the story. Like, she used to die, right? So we had no choice as the writers. Like, we were compelled to write it this way. The writers are like Eren, and they have to bring the rumbling. It's their destiny. And you notice this cope time and time again, right? Like, every single time you complain that a character design is shit, they will say, well, actually, it's the story, right? The story. I don't like the fact that Kratos isn't the anti-hero that I like. Well, no, it's the story. It's the story. Motherfucker, you're the writer, okay? Like, if you take someone like the Joker and you're writing him like he is running for office in San Francisco as if he is a Democrat, and you're taking away all the uniqueness of the character and you're making it into something else, don't give me like, is the story. You are writing something for entertainment, right? You covet the wealth of the customer. You want my money. I work for my money. Why should I give it to you? Like, they have conferences, chat. They have conferences where they literally say that the gamer doesn't matter, that the gamer doesn't know what they want. So they need to write their stories using the IPs that you like because they take you for granted. They think that you are the pay piggy. It's a toxic relationship. They think that no matter what they do, that no matter how they design the character or how they spite you or how arrogant they are to you on Twitter, nothing matters because you are going to buy their product anyway. That you're going to go out of your way in order to spend your money and feed these people, right? Like, this is what they believe. And to some extent, they are right. I mean, this is the plan that they have. They take an IP that's popular, like, for instance, Batman Arkham, right? They take the IP, they didn't work on the originals, they didn't contribute to the original IP, and obviously they can't even do that, which is why they're taking a universe that's already made. And once they have that, they think that all the fans, everyone that liked the original universe, is going to give them money because people are addicted to it. They can't help themselves, right? And in the beginning, it actually was like this. Like, if you were a Diablo fan, you know, and they give another Diablo game, like, people can't help themselves and they will buy it. Regardless if the women are pumped up with testosterone and they are suffering from the androgyny and they're very difficult to behold because, you know, it's the apocalypse. Of course women are going to look ugly. Meanwhile, like, the men, they're jacked, they're pumped up. The reason they do this is because they know that the original fans of Diablo are going to be able to help themselves and they're going to buy the game. And they also have, like, enough, I guess, shills, which if you go online and you complain and you say, well, why does this character look like shit? It's like, well, it's the apocalypse. Of course, it's the story. Yeah, the story. Like we're talking about a fictional universe, right, where the people from Mount Ariatu, the coldest place on Earth, happen to look like African Americans, and the people in the desert are pale as skin, right? Like for some reason the story doesn't seem to permeate there. The story doesn't seem to affect that logic of the universe. It's the Schrodinger story, I like to call it. You know, like sometimes when it's a leftist talking point, the story makes sense. When it's not, the story isn't there. It's such a ridiculous scope. I really hate it, by the way, right? Like whenever they say, well, like look at this. Abby from The Last of Us, right? Like she's jacked. She doesn't even look feminine. There's nothing feminine about Abby whatsoever. No one will say, well, in order to look like that, you have to eat a lot of proteins, and is the apocalypse. Where is she going to get that much meat? I mean, she lived in what appears to be a football stadium. Where were they growing so much meat for Abby to look jacked? Notice how the story doesn't seem to come there, right? Like when they want to create their character, which seems to be a Hulk abomination of a female, then that's fine, right? Like they're allowed to do it. The story doesn't have any issue. However, if you're trying to say why isn't Ellie good looking? Why doesn't she have makeup? Why doesn't she look like a female character from the 90s? Then it's like, oh, well, it's the story, of course, right? It's the end of the world. Where is she going to find makeup? And you'll notice the same when you have characters that have their hair dyed, right? Even though it's the apocalypse, they have colored hair. It's like, how do they do it? Where do they manage to find hair color? Or when they have the mental illness Californian haircut. Like, that one is actually difficult to do, you know? It's difficult to maintain. When do they have time? Not to mention, like, in a zombie universe, if you were to put it like that, everyone would probably look military style because you don't want the zombies to grab your hair, right? So, like, everyone would just shave. And they wouldn't have any hair on their head whatsoever. Like, if you want to go with the story. But that's the thing, right? Because I have seen it so many times that it's annoying, right? Like, you point out, I don't like the fact that Poison Ivy is now a child. It's like, hey, you don't know the story. I don't know the story. It's like, well, you know, couldn't they have rebirthed her without making her look like a child? I mean, it's Poison Ivy. She's supposed to be sexy, right? Now, the problem that I think is that feminists have convinced people in 2016 that the male gaze equals rape. Right? So, like, if you see a beautiful woman as a man, it turns you into Harvey Weinstein. So, in order to prevent more Harvey Weinsteins, we need to make sure that sexy women only appear on Twitch, OnlyFans, and other places, never in video games. But anyway, I digress. Let me know what you guys think, and if you like the channel and would love to support it, there's a link into the pinned comment. And if you click on it, I promise that I'll give you the best buyer's remorse you can ask for. Take care.